Hello all, welcome to Online with the CMC. Our speaker today is Dr. Pamela Thomas. Go ahead and take it away, Pam.
Thanks so much, Mary. So this morning, I'm going to talk about looking to the future, how to learn about linked data in BIBFRAME. I know you keep hearing about linked data in BIBFRAME and maybe you want to know more, but where do you start? I'm going to walk you through the process of learning about linked data in BIBFRAME from the perspective of a somewhat beginner. This presentation will provide a brief overview of linked data in BIBFRAME, how linked data works, and share resources for continuing your learning experience. And I will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. So please put your questions in the chat box. Okay, so the agenda today, again, I'm going to talk about linked data, then I'm going to talk about VF, and then BIBFRAME, and then I'm going to give a brief summary, and then I will answer your questions. So, according to Wikipedia, library linked data, or LLD, is the use of linked data standards by libraries. These standards are usually applied to bibliographic and authority data sets with the hope of decreasing redundant cataloging work and increasing visibility of library resources and interoperability with non-library systems. So let's look a little more closely at the diagram that was on the title slide. We have two different print editions of Don Juan, an audiobook, a DVD version of the movie, a VHS version, a soundtrack, and a movie based loosely on the original book. And now the related manifestations and items need to be linked to each other. Now think of all the works that have been manifested and expressed into print books, ebooks, audiobooks, streaming audio, videos, including motion pictures, VHS, DVD and Blu-ray, streaming video, etc. Although your local public library might not own all manifestations and expressions of this one work, your patron might want to find all these different items and borrow one or many of them, or maybe even all of them. As you know, patrons are no longer restricted to borrowing the resources owned by their public library or academic library. The majority of library resources are accessible, even if you can only use some of them in the library. So VF is the Virtual International Authority File. It's a joint project of several national libraries and operated by the Online Computer Library Center, or OCLC. Again, this is from Wikipedia. So VF links authority file data. My description will not do justice, so let's take a look at VF. So this is the screen that you'll first see if you go to VF. I decided to do a Thomas Jefferson search, little fangirl about Thomas Jefferson, I'm sorry. So as you see in the screenshot above, the search box populates, giving you choices. So I selected that top one, Thomas Jefferson, 1743 to 1826. So this is a screenshot of the partial search results. If you look at the top and you can see that tiny 117 headings found. So all those 117 headings are related to Thomas Jefferson. So I chose Garden and Farm Books of Thomas Jefferson from the VF website to examine further. So the top image is from VF, which can then take you to the WorldCat record for the Garden and Farm Books of Thomas Jefferson, which is the bottom screenshot. In the VF image, you can see all the country flags that have a linked record, either to an authority or bibliographic record. And WorldCat links data, including formats, creators, subjects, titles, etc. So here is a lovely screenshot. If you look up Thomas Jefferson in Wikipedia, I know it's kind of tiny, but all of those words, phrases are linked data. And those are the topics that are in the Wikipedia article on Thomas Jefferson. So all of this is linked data. So what about linked data in MARC records? Let's look at an example of linked data in a MARC record. This one is an item that I recently cataloged. It's an ebook for the American Hospital Association, or AHA Library in Chicago. If you want to look it up, it's OCLC number 135 0812795, exploring metropolitan anchor hospitals and the communities they serve. So the corporate author is in the 110.2, the LCSH, which are in the 650, and then the electronic location and access, you've got two of those in the 85640 fields, all have linked data in them. And notice that the first 856 field takes the patron to the American Health Association website, while the second 856 field is a link to the PDF version of the ebook. So what is BIBFRAME? Library of Congress defines it as initiated by the Library of Congress. BIBFRAME provides a foundation for the future of bibliographic description, both on the web and in the broader networked world that is grounded in linked data techniques. A major focus of the initiative is to determine a transition path for the MARC 21 formats while preserving a robust data exchange that has supported resource sharing and cataloging cost savings in recent decades. So BIBFRAME was created in 2012. Currently, LC cataloging staff are creating records both in MARC and in BIBFRAME, and this has been their current practice for several years. And the current version of BIBFRAME is BIBFRAME 2.0. So let's look a bit at the BIBFRAME editor. So you can access the BIBFRAME editor, and this is the demo version, at https://bibframe.org/BFE/index.html. And the link is in my resource slide further on in the presentation. First, you're going to click on the editor tab, and that's shown there in the image above on the left. And then you're going to click on the Create Resource button, which is there in that nice blue box. Now you have a choice to make. So if you look at all the choices there under Create Resource, you get to decide what type of resource are you cataloging. So you've got choices for monograph, monograph non-Latin, notated music, serial, cartographic, sound recording, on and on and on. Hopefully you know what type of resource you have in your hand. That's always a good thing. So here, we're going to create an instance record. So from the Create Resource button, I selected Monograph Instance. So the two choices are instance and work. And since this isn't a work, it's an instance, I chose instance. So this is the screen that appears. For any of the grade boxes, I'm talking about BIBFRAME work, instance title, variant title, parallel title, publication, distribution, manufacture, production, etc. You can click on those and then provide more information. And then we're going to look at the other options for BIBFRAME work in 2 slides from now. So here is the BIBFRAME instance. So these are the rest of the boxes that you can fill in. So you've got media type, extent, dimensions, carrier type, has item, uniform resource locator, which if we were doing that ebook, we would have that link to include there. You've got project publication date, and you have to do it in year, month format. Then you've got administrative metadata and then add property. So if we were doing a BIBFRAME work, here are the options that you have to fill in. So you've got creator of work, title information, form of work, date of work, place of origin of the work, and so forth. And I'll let you look at that for a few seconds. Okay, so here's a BIBFRAME example. So in the demo editor, I created a BIBFRAME record for the garden and farm books of Thomas Jefferson that we looked at earlier. So when you're in the demo editor, you need to enter information in the blank box, and then you have to click the plus sign and then save it. This is not very intuitive, and hopefully if you're using the real editor, it's a little less clunky to use. But you can certainly go to the demo editor and play around with it. So if you look, I added the title here. I added the copyright date. I marked that it was a single unit. There was a note, you can only see part of it here, includes Jefferson's correspondence, drawings, and plans, and then it cuts off. But you can click on the edit button and see the entire note. I selected that it was unmediated. I added the pagination, I added the dimensions, and for carrier type, I put volume. So in the top image here, I typed in limited edition because the Thomas Jefferson book was a limited edition. And then I also selected, if you can see that, limited edition here, and then I selected EN for English as a language. And then I clicked on this plus sign. The bottom image shows the limited edition now displays right here under the blank box, but you can see that your choice is that you can still edit that or you can delete it. So if you entered something incorrectly, you can either edit it or delete it, whatever is most appropriate. Okay, so here is the BIBFRAME Preview. So this is just the first part of the garden and farm books of Thomas Jefferson. So all the schemas are shown at the top. So you have BF, BFLC, MADS, RDF, PMO, RDF, RDFS, XSD, data types, and LC local. So these prefixes are defined at the top of the screen somewhat. So BF is for BIBFRAME, BFLC is BIBFRAME Library of Congress, MADS, RDF is Metadata Authority Description Schema in Resource Description Framework. PMO is Performed Music Ontology. RDF is Resource Description Framework. RDFS is Resource Description Framework Schema. XSD is XML Schema Definition. Data types is the Library of Congress data types. And then LC Local is the Library of Congress local ontologies. So this is the final screenshot of the preview. And then the summary note is not shown in its entirety, just for display purposes only, but the entire summary note was in this record. But you can kind of parse out, some of the information here. So, here's single unit. Here's the includes Jefferson's correspondence, drawings, and plans for Monticello's gardens. Like I said, that kind of cut off. And then I chose text as a content type, and I'm using RDA guidelines. It's in English. And got PCC and DLC as different labels. And this is where we see the create instance. So for those of you who like to read this kind of script. And then here's our title, Garden and Farm Books of Thomas Jefferson. And then the main title is Garden and Farm Books of Thomas Jefferson. And then there was also Golden, Colorado. That was the place of publication. All right. So let's just talk a little bit more about BIBFRAME. So during the Linked Data Users Group, or LDUG, annual meeting, Marshall Breeding, who is pretty knowledgeable about BIBFRAME, he presented BIBFRAME and linked data system readiness, and a link to the recording is on the resources slide. So I'm just going to summarize what he discusses, but please feel free to watch this recording and make your own interpretation. So Breeding says that BIBFRAME is mainly being used for monographs, print and ebooks. However, monographs are a smaller part of many academic libraries' budgets, and it's more challenging to apply linked data to article level discovery services. OCLC is working with the Library of Congress to finalize the BIBFRAME standard. Academic and larger public libraries are more interested in BIBFRAME than mid-sized and smaller public libraries or school libraries. But the integrated library systems, ILSs, must have buy-in and support BIBFRAME. Cataloging costs will increase if BIBFRAME is adopted. Technology development, staff training, and documentation are all going to be a cost in money and time. The global bibliographic ecosystem is dominated by Koha, which does not currently support BIBFRAME. He also shares that the main criticism of MARC has been that it is library-centric, and that the Library of Congress has created another library-centric program, BIBFRAME. There are over 2.7 million libraries worldwide. This is according to the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, or IFLA. So having a library-centric program might not be totally negative, but if libraries used a universal program or coding, then just imagine all the possibilities. Okay, so in summary, linked data is useful. VF actively links data. MARC records have linked data. WorldCat links data. Library of Congress is invested in BIBFRAME. But however, we need ILS buy-in and support for BIBFRAME for it to be universally used, if that's the way we want to go. Linked data is useful, and it has endless possibilities. The Virtual International Authority File, or VF, is a useful resource for linking authority records and linking works, expressions, manifestations, and items, or WEMIs, and connecting them to one creator. MARC records have linked data, which also link WEMIs, connecting all WEMIs to one creator. WorldCat links data, allowing patrons to filter and sort by creator, format, publication date, subject, etc. The Library of Congress is clearly vested and invested in BIBFRAME. They use ALMA, which is an ex libris product. It was created in 2012 and is not universally available for all libraries to use and may never be. Integrated library systems, Follett, Polaris, Evergreen, Ex Libris, etc., all need to have buy-in and support BIBFRAME in order for libraries to use it. So here are the resources that I used to create the presentation and or useful resources for you to explore. On a side note, I created and used the Don Juan diagram for Reaching Across Illinois Libraries, or RAILS presentation on August 21st, 2018. So the link to that recording and slides are also listed here. I've also included the link to our new CMC evaluation form in this list. I hope it works. The link to the form is also on the L2 event, and I'll give you a sneak peek of the form on the next slide. Hopefully it will display because it was being a little contrary the other day. Okay, it just takes a minute. So it's pretty short. There's just 8 things. I ask your name, the name of the library where you work, what library system you work for, and maybe it'll let me show you the other stuff and maybe it won't. No. And other fun questions. Just asking you to suggest future topics if we covered everything, you know, was this a good presentation and so forth. So I hope that all of you will go to the L2 event and click on the link and fill out and submit the evaluation form. Okay. Questions? And hopefully here are the CMC staff on the call today.
Okay. And
I don't really mean to end it. Sorry, let me go back.
it's okay.
It's just trying to pull down the chat box.
So far, we have one question here from April. What is the difference between an instance and a work?
So an instance is basically something that you're holding. The work is defined, you know, as the original thought of the author. And so to me, you're never going to have a work. I mean, you know, it's in the brain of the creator, and it's not really anything that's been manifested or published. So you're really going to have an expression or an item in your hand when you're cataloging. But that's a good question. Oh, I forgot to mention too, I've got these notes on L2 right now, and after the presentation, I will post the slides with the notes.
Okay. All right, and we have another question from Mark. He says, what was the purpose of the list of prefixes? Are all prefixes listed at the top of every record?
I think so, but feel free to play around with that BIBFRAME editor. I know I've used that the demo editor in the past, and it seemed like it was less complicated. I feel like they've RDA-ified the BIBFRAME editor now, you know, like including like instance and work and you know, content type and carrier type and that stuff. Because I don't remember it being in there in the past. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, Rhonda says the L2 link for the course evaluation isn't working right now. So we will look into that. Thank you for letting us know, Rhonda. April asks, is there a list of the prefixes, and is BIBFRAME as daunting as it is at first sight?
There probably are. I mean, you know, they're just prefix labels. You could probably Google them.
Yeah.
BIBFRAME was just, like I said, when I used it before, it seemed like it was a lot more simple and more intuitive. It seems a little less simple, a little less intuitive now. I don't know if it's different if you have the, you know, the actual real editor that you're using rather than the demo editor, but I would almost think the demo editor should be easy to use because it's a demo editor. You know, they should be trying to entice people to want to use this. So yeah, I would just, you know, encourage you guys to just play around with it, and maybe you guys find it simpler to use than I did.
Okay. Yeah, it looked almost, at least to me, it looked like, and maybe this is just because I'm not as IT savvy as I used to be. It looked like someone from the IT crowd had come in and played with it a little bit, but that's just me. That's
No,
just
I
me.
think that's true.
No offense to you IT people. Sorry.
No,
We love you. You
yeah,
do
we
great
love
work.
you, but I don't speak IT language. And just so okay. So I'm just talking about the link to the recording. We send the link to our IT department, and they do something with it, and then they put it on YouTube, and we are down an IT staff person right now. So if you're wanting to watch the recording, it probably isn't going to happen until next week, is all that I'm saying. So, but I will send out the usual email and let you know when it is available. And yeah, Rhonda, I'll play around with that evaluation form. I checked it out yesterday, it was working. If it still won't work, I'll just upload the old evaluation form, and you'll just have to fill it out and send it to me. I'm trying to make it easier, but.
Okay, so April asks, since there needs to be more buy-in by ILS, when do you see this taking over Merc 21?
I hope after I retire.
I don't know if it'll ever take over Merc 21 in entirety, personally. I mean,
I think that was the intention. I think that's what LC would like to happen.
yeah,
But
yeah.
LC created BIBFRAME, but they have plainly stated they are not going to support it, you know, for other libraries. Like you and your ILS vendor are on your own, but LC uses Ex Libris. They're using Alma. So any library that's using Alma, you know, should be able to use BIBFRAME easily.
That's a good point. Rhonda says if OCLC isn't buying in, then I don't see it happening for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And I know LC is working with OCLC, but I don't, you know, I don't work at either of those places, so I don't know how OCLC feels about BIBFRAME. I mean, linked data is awesome. I think the more, linked data we can include in MARC records or authority records or whatever, I think that is a positive way to move forward. And I mean, I'm comfortable using MARC because I've been doing it for a long time. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it works. And I think they have made improvements. But I think if they want to replace MARC, they need to find something that's easier to use.
Because it all comes back to the user.
And if I don't have to code fix fields anymore, I would be very happy to do so. Trust me. Sign me up for that.
Okay. Ooh, oh, Blake.
Okay.
All right, Blake. Okay, so Blake comes back and says, my 2 cents, BIBFRAME is a proof of concept that shows a non-MARC system is possible. In spite of LC's championing and development of it, it may not ever have the necessary traction to overtake MARC. Whatever comes after BIBFRAME may become the thing that finally kills MARC, so it may be a while. So
I don't know why they want to kill MARC. No, I know what you're referring to. Somebody had written an article a long time ago about killing MARC. Yeah. It makes me a little nervous that they're already using BIBFRAME 2.0. I mean, I know, yeah, you need to update and revise, but I really think that BIBFRAME 1.0, if it had a number, was easier to use than BIBFRAME 2.0. Kind of like RDA original versus the current RDA.
Let me put it this way. If we created a cataloging language that put out terminology that made it more user-friendly for patrons to find items and actually understand what they were finding on the shelf, I would totally be for that. But that's kind of more how my brain works, because there's a lot of times where I've had patrons come up to me and say, I searched for this item, and the terminology that I had to look or search to find this item, I don't even know what that means. So there's that too, but that's a whole other topic. So,
well, but that's been the whole great divide. The language, I mean, extent. What patron who isn't a librarian is even going to know what that means? It's like, we're just talking about the number of pages, basically. It's like, just simplify the language. It's like, I don't need to have, $10 words for everything that's related to cataloging. It's like, let's find simpler terms that like all the world can understand. Like, I don't understand why we can't go in that direction. And I feel like that's the direction we need to go, rather than trying to make more complicated terms that only, the secret society of librarians know what they really mean, so that we have to interpret it for the world. I just think that's the wrong direction to go. But sorry, that's a whole other discussion.
Anywho, so and Rhonda threw in and agreed. Do we have any other questions out there from anyone?
Just a reminder, next month, sorry, you have to listen to me again. I'll be doing Stop Wasting Time, adding the 033 and 518 MARC fields. So I hope that you can attend that and learn a little bit more about those 2 fields, which work in conjunction with one another, because we like to be friends in MARC land.
All right, I don't.
Radio silence.
Yeah, seeing any other questions? Nope, I'm not seeing any other questions jumping in. April says I could pick your brains all day, but I will stop. Okay.
I don't mind having my brain picked. I really don't.
Okay, and we're getting some thank yous coming in. Erica says, thank you. This was a great introduction to linked data. I didn't know about linked data users group. The linked data users group. I can talk, sorry.
Yeah, and
Okay.
definitely look into different things that Marshall Breeding has done as well. I believe he's got a blog, and he's got a lot of good information out there.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop our recording.
Okay.